So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a 2009 370Z with two GT28 twin turbos on it. It also has an Amuse body kit on it, which makes it look like the most aggressive 370Z I've seen in my entire life. This car belongs to Paige Baker. You might have seen her, well, all over the internet, because there was a picture of her going around town pumping gas, and it went on Stance Nation and all these crazy amount of car websites, and I saw it like 2 years ago maybe, and I was like, that is the sexiest 370Z I've ever seen. The back of it has carbon fiber, the front of it has carbon fiber, there's carbon fiber everywhere. The wing on it is an awesome shape, and it kind of reminds me of almost a TRD wing from a Supra. It kind of caves in right there and goes up, and it goes perfectly with the egg shape of the body, which you wouldn't think would happen, but it just goes right along with the roofline almost. I mean, it's also evident that it looks really badass with the intercooler in the front just kind of staring at you, because it's aggressive, but then at the same time it's a brace face. The thing about the 370Z that a lot of people don't know about is that it has rev matching, and so when you downshift, it rev matches for you. You can also turn the option off, but if you're cruising through town like I am right now, it's really great. Believe it or not, even though this car is driving wonderfully now, this car sat for 2 years, and that is because she threw a rod. The engine decided to say knock knock, who's there, and it threw out. But that is because the exhaust manifold had a crack in it, and the car was being pushed fairly hard, and that's when it happened. This poor Z was sitting outside and just like, love me, fix me, but now it's pleasantly driving down the streets of Gainesville, Florida. The clutch is extremely heavy. It is a weird kind of threshold where you kind of want to be nice to it, and then you give it a little bit of gas and then you start thunking, but I think over time I'll get used to it. But at first it was pretty bad. But the car for right now is only running 3 pounds of boost, which before you all have a fit, it just needs to be tuned for now. But even though it's only 3 pounds of boost, you still get the boost sensation. It feels literally just like the 350Z I drove with twin turbos on it, and maybe even faster. It kicks you a lot harder, and when I revved up and hit about 4,000 to 5,000 RPM, I expected really nothing to happen, because 3 pounds of boost, you're like, oh, it probably just feels NA, but no, when the boost kicks in, it just starts yanking you back, and you're like, oh yeah, this is nice. What's so interesting about the 372 is the interior is so much better than the 350. The 350, at one point, if you marked it up enough, you could probably buy it for $40,000 back in the day, which was ridiculous because you would knock on it and it was like Fisher-Price plastic in the car. There's more leather, there's more of this rubbery substance, which is kind of like a cheaper way to make things feel more expensive sometimes, but in this, it feels nice and sturdy, and the car doesn't have that many rattles in it too, and that seems to be a big thing nowadays. The car actually has 46,000 miles on it, and it's still a champ. It's awesome. It's also a 6-speed transmission, and the shifter is actually pretty solid. It's just that the clutch is so heavy that the light shifter kind of doesn't talk to it as much as you would like to at first, but then later down their line, it almost contrasts off of each other, so it works. Got road traction. Well, that's definitely smiles per gallon. Another thing is that the motor is completely stock internally except the head. So you have a built head, and the thing about the 370, it's a 370Z, therefore it's a 3.7 liter motor. It's way more obvious than you would think. With that 3.7 liter, it's a V6, and when you add a little bit of boost to it, it wakes it up. Because the 350s, when they're naturally aspirated in a straight line, they just feel like they're kind of duds. But in corners, the Z platform's always been fantastic. It's just, this definitely needed that little extra push. Another great thing about the 370Z I've always noticed is that the tachometer is in the center. So when you're getting on it, you know exactly when to shift, because all you have to do is look straight down and you see the RPMs climb. So right when boost kicks in, you know exactly what's gonna happen. One downside about the car is that with all this performance, that still has stock brakes. So that's okay. The brakes are not bad. You just have to stop a little earlier than say if you had Brembos or something. The gas mileage is not that bad. If you're cruising on the highway, you can get up to 32 miles per gallon. And that's when the turbos are beneficial for the gas mileage. But you know, if you go into the boost all the time like I was, then no. The suspension is KW coilovers, so you're dealing with some of the best coilovers in the business, and that is why it takes turns awesome and it's perfectly flat. So you have that equal medium between performance and comfort. The coilovers are 3-way adjustable, so you can adjust it in pretty much every fashion of a coilover ever. So you have plenty of options. If you want to slam it and be stance station, go for it. If you want performance, go for it. I could totally daily this car every single day if I had to, which by the way is amazing, because imagine walking out to this every single day and then just looking at it and like, I'm gonna be late to work because I'm too busy looking at it. It's such a pretty car. This car is the perfect example of all of the little details. It's 3 colors, which has always been kind of considered in the car world like the trio. It's silver, black, and blue, but you could do this with other colors. Parts of the headlights that are black, the part of the wing is carbon fiber, and then you have the bits of silver and chrome, and then you have the neo chrome where the heat treated on the exhaust. Everything comes together, and it's just, I could sit at it, just look at it. It's awesome. One thing though about the car is when you're at a dead stop, you hear this. It's just the twin disc clutch, there's nothing broken. But for somebody like me, when you first get in the car, you're like, what am I doing wrong? It's gonna break. Another thing about the car is that it has an HKS high-powered exhaust. And what's great about it is you can get on it, but it's not too loud. You're not ruining everybody's day. You're not ruining everybody's retirement in Gainesville. You're cruising down the road, and when you shift into a higher gear, it's pretty quiet, but you get a really nice kind of classy tone. You know, it has a very aggressive tone, but at the same time, it's just nice and subtle. The blow-off valve on this car is a tile blow-off valve, and tile blow-off valves are showing up everywhere. They're used a lot in cars like 240 SXs and other kinds of Nissan, but that's because it makes a very, well, awesome tone. And at the same time, it does its job. You get the nice purge, and the sound is great. Alright guys, I want to thank every single one of you for checking out this quick little review video. I want to thank Paige so much for letting me drive her beautiful car. And I will see you guys next time, and take it easy.